Um, Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of uh, our interview. Selling is not cheating. Sales is strategy, skills, pricing, marketing, and ethics. So Sir has been working as a sales professional with more than 35 years in different companies, and he has a strong networking skills. Also, in today's session, you will get to know how to build this strategy to implement in your micro entrepreneurships and many more things. And so, welcome to today's discussion. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
Uh, sir, the first book of yours, as far as I know, it's kind of you talk about like how the big businesses and big companies are not coming out of India, but like different countries, and what are the secrets behind it. I have been thinking sales is a kind of misleading thing, some kind that misleads people and like targets us unnecessarily. And kind of from my point of view, I think this book is going to break this myth, and we're also going to talk about it. So, first of all, what was the motive from your side to come up with this kind of title?
Okay, so if you see that generally in this country or in general, whenever you talk about sales, it is assumed that the man will be telling lies to sell something which may not be always necessary. And when you have this kind of an assumption about the salesperson,
Hmm.
the not so known organizations, right, when they go out and try to sell, the job of the salesperson becomes very, very difficult. It becomes very difficult because you're assuming the other guy is not telling you the truth. So, in such a scenario, it impacts the sales, right? But slowly, it has also become a habit of people many a times to tell lies because they think that is the only way to make a sale happen. And then they forget
Hmm.
that if someone cheats you, will you like to go to that same place again?
Yeah.
Chances are that if you have an option, you will not like to go there. So, why do you think some other customer would like to go and buy it again if you cheat the customer? And hence the whole thinking that don't do that. But someone needs to say that because otherwise, the famous sayings are more like uh, selling a comb to a bald man is supposed to be a great story and people feel very happy about it. I think it's a very stupid story and one should not talk about it. That's the example of what you should not do. And that's the reason I thought, let's write this book because it can be an interesting book for everyone.
We have been like transitioned from a phase where we used to just believe that sale is a gimmick and we should not trust these people. But now we see websites like Amazon, Flipkart, or even the like brands, they have their own respective websites. Things get sold very easily, very fast. So the generation, we see a generational change here. Now people are more reliant into the websites and into the things they see digitally rather than buying something offline. So you have been
Right.
working in this field for 35 years. So what's your perspective
Correct.
on that?
See, again, please understand one thing that there are few things which are still getting sold. There are a lot of things which are not getting sold. They are not getting sold because you don't know about them. So,
Hmm.
what is the impact of that? The impact of that is that on an average in a year, I noticed is close to 10,000 odd businesses had closed down. So, post COVID,
Hmm.
10,000 businesses closing down because they could not sell what they had. Now, this is a regular phenomenon. Every year, thousands
Hmm.
of organizations close down.
Hmm.
Why? Because they don't know how to use Amazon effectively, maybe. Maybe they don't know how to sell through Flipkart effectively.
Hmm.
And so the whole aim is that, how do you reach out to more number of customers? The first step in any sales is the customer
Hmm.
should know that you exist. If
Hmm.
the customer does not know you exist, how will the customer buy it? Now,
Hmm.
yes, Amazon or kind of places are a boom, but at the same time, please understand that out there also there are thousands of products. So how do you know which one is right for you? How do you know what he has written actually is what it is? So hence what happens is that with time there are a lot of options, but they are also confusing. Hence what happens many a time you'll end up buying things which you don't want, or you
Hmm.
buy things and you're not really happy with it, right?
Hmm.
Because what you thought you will get versus what you get
Hmm.
are two different things many a times, depending on how smartly the other guy has positioned it.
Mm-hmm.
So hence, yes, there are more options. The market is crowded. There is too much of noise there. A lot of people are saying a lot of things. But how do you become more visible so that you can sell is important. And when people don't know that, then they are not visible, they don't sell, and they have to shut down their business.
Okay. So, sir, in this place, what do you suggest for the micro, small, medium entrepreneurships that are evolving with the like evolution of this new era that has been coming in India? And a lot of the times, as from my experience, I have seen they focused on developing their products and they miss out the part marketing, and that's how like the impact can be seen in their sales also. And yeah, so what do you think? How can we overcome that area?
Correct. So one is obviously this 258 pages are talking about that only, that how do you overcome that.
Okay.
So someone has to read it to understand, right? Now in that, so there are, however, what I have done is I have tried to come out in one chapter and say that these are the seven things which are needed for an organization, that you need to know, and some basic things which you need to work on, that you need to have systems and processes, you need to hire a sales team to go out and sell, right? You need to ensure that people know about you, so you got to make noise about it. So there are multiple things which you need to do to ensure that you become visible, you are able to sell, and you are able to make money, right? So one of the chapter gives you a small part of it, which are the seven steps, but the full book is basically an explanation of what you should do and how you should do, so that you can start growing from where you are to where you want to.
Sir, over your experience in this field for a quite long time, you might have seen also businesses in different countries, both like developed and like underdeveloping countries. And what are the major differences you see, basically in the small business areas? Like, yeah.
So, there are two basic things. One is a developed market and a underdeveloped market, or a developing market. In a developing market, you have a lot of competition, but at the same time, you have some basic issues. Basic issue is that you sell something, you are not sure you will get the money or not. In case there is a, you're not, it's not a shop. In a
Mm-hmm.
shop, you always, the customer comes, pays you the money, and buys the thing. But that's not how all businesses happen. So you might sell your books to someone, and the other guy, you are not sure that in the next 30 days, if he has promised he will pay you, whether he will really pay you, what happens if he does not pay you, right? So in problem in developing world is that what is written in an agreement, enforcing it is very difficult. Whereas in a developed market, the generic country takes care of those things. The systems of the country takes care of those things. So you really don't have to bother about the basics. Once if someone has signed an agreement and said that he'll make the payment in so many days, the payment will happen. If you have bought something, if in the product it claims it has got A, B, C, it will generally have those things. If they don't have it, the penalty is heavy, right? In a developing country, not just India, all across, you will see that many a times we buy things, and when we go through it and try to understand, we see that we thought we are buying something, and what we have got is something else. So there is a big difference, because of which what happens is, in a developing market, a lot of people can jump in and start offering things, even though they are not really doing everything which they should do to make a product good or make it sellable. So they just write it has got A, B, C, D in it, right? Whereas in a developed world, you cannot do. So hence what happens is that in this part of the world, your selling also involves taking precautions, so that you don't fall in a ditch from where you cannot come out, right? So hence your payment problem is a very big problem businesses have. Your problem of honoring commitments is a very big thing which you have, even though it is slowly reducing, but still you have that. In a developed market, you don't have it. But then the other side of the game is, in a developed market, it's a cutthroat competitive market. The way of selling is different, your visibility issues are different, it's more expensive, right? You need different kind of knowledge base and understanding of the market to sell. Hence they are two different kind of markets, and they should be treated differently.
mm,
And hence, when you try to work in a developing market versus when you're trying to work in a market which is already developed, you have
mm.
different kind of issues needs to be handled differently and worked on.
So, sir, in labor market, can we also say the same thing? Because when we talk about the labor market in the developed country, where they get good pay and good lifestyle, and in developing countries, comparably, they don't have that things, and that's why we also see a big, huge migration from the developing country to developed countries. So here, if
Correct.
we see, not only in sales, but when we try to provide a good labor market for the developing countries, what are the basic things you would suggest for a country to have?
So for example, what happens is that in IT industry, for that matter, for example, the price at which you can have your people working there is much higher than the price at which you can make them work here. The simple reason being that the cost of living out there is higher, so the overall payment terms are such that you get much more money for the same work. So there is something known as cost arbitrage, that everything remaining same, by having the same person working there in that country, you can get much more than what you will get in a country like India, right? But then the expenses are also like that. But many Indian companies put their software people out there in Europe and US and earn much more. So even if you save $10 an hour per person, and if you have 5,000 people working for you, then just imagine the cost advantage which you have because of that. So your coffers can have huge amount of cash, and you can be really rich because of that, right? So that's the advantage of cheap labor. But then slowly what is happening is in some of the businesses, we are losing that advantage because we are also becoming expensive. We are also slowly adding more cost to the business which we do. So earlier, for example, many businesses used to come to India and do medical
Mm,
transcription business or used to do
mm,
the call center business. Now you have neighboring countries which are offering the same price at a lower price option. So same work, low cost, hence you have started losing there to those kind of countries in the neighborhood, right? And that
mm,
will keep happening. So one option in that case is you go and set up a center in those countries yourself. So instead of you losing the complete business, you do part of the work here, you set up a bigger center maybe in a neighboring country where the cost is cheap, and you can manage that business so that you don't completely lose out that business. Some companies in India have done that, but
mm,
many have lost out on that because we did not prepare for that. The second reason is that not always people switch because of money. Not everyone, even if you check yourself, you will not go and buy something at in a market just because it is available for 10 rupees less. You will need the feeling of assurance. You need to trust that person, you need to trust the quality, you need to trust the service, and there are so many other things. So
mm,
if you want to take care of those kind of issues, it is important that you develop that kind of trust in the customers. Customers must trust you that yes, even if you are charging higher, it makes sense. So same
mm,
is true for manpower. That manpower, the Indian manpower has gone to US and proven that we are quality people, we do much better quality work, maybe at the same cost, and hence we dominate that market. To the point that in some of the European and even in American market for that matter, there are restrictions on number of Indians who can go into that market now, right? So they have put visa restrictions and other restrictions to stop you. Maybe that's okay, but that's the advantage we have from cost perspective when it comes to doing high skilled work, but at the
mm.
same time slightly low skilled work. Some other countries have an advantage over us, and they take that away from us. So that's how this whole business is all about, which I think is the way it will remain for long to come.
Yeah, that's a very insightful explanation you have just given. So, sir, when we talk about the sales and like being a company or being a like producer, we just try to sell our product by hook or crook. But like also the question of ethics comes here. Like, is it a good way to sell? Is it a good marketing? And we have seen in many cases in India, like the advertisement that are put in like TVs or like markets out there, which completely somehow humiliate the person's interest or something like that. So in this case, what should be done from the any company or any small organization that are that are very new in the market, how can they go ahead with the idea in this case?
See, the thing is that generic feeling is that you please sell by hook and crook. So generally the salespeople are told that you have a target, go and sell, right?
Hmm.
And then they are put pressure that go and sell somehow. So when you are trying to sell somehow, you're obviously trying to commit things which are not correct. You're trying to make a
Hmm.
sale happen. And once you have made the sale happen, next thing is that
Hmm.
the customer gets upset. When the customer gets upset, the bad name spreads. So
Hmm.
unless you are selling something where the other guy does not have any option at all, they will keep
Hmm.
buying. But if they have an option, they will stop buying. So, for example, you take this example of Chinese toys which you get in the market. You have to
Yes.
give someone a gift that's available at a cheaper price. You don't have
Hmm.
any option that buying that, so you go and buy it. But trust
Hmm.
me, the day we have an option of buying something else, we'll not go and buy that. So what
Hmm.
happens is in India, for example, when these organizations, small organizations start, they should plan it in a way that first 6 months, 8 months, it might take time to actually ramp up the business. But you
Hmm.
must understand one thing: once you ramp up the business based on trust and based on the strength of your products and solution, then you build a permanent kind of relationship. Doesn't matter how strong the competition is, it will be
Hmm.
very difficult for the competition to beat you in that marketplace. See, otherwise what happens is, for example, if you just take the PC market, I joined the industry in 87 when we used to sell only Indian PCs. They all were Indian made PCs. They used to go and buy the card sets from Taiwan, from Korea, and then they used to assemble in India. So in India, everyone used to buy an Indian assembled PC, right?
Hmm.
But then what happened is that the PC market, we did not bother much about the quality beyond a point, right? Our
Hmm.
deliveries had some problems, our other things had problem. And then came the international competition after 1990. They
Hmm.
started offering the same personal computer at 20 to 30% higher price. We, in fact, me, my friends, the office where I work, we all believed that at 30% high, they are no competition to us. Who at the home market or who in a small office will ever buy a product for 30% more cost? But in the next 10, 12 years, they completely wiped out every Indian company in the market. Today, we
Hmm.
don't have a single Indian brand, known brand. I have heard some are again coming up because of
Hmm.
the new initiatives by the government. But just imagine that they come, they sell you at a 30% higher price, they wipe you out. So we then keep complaining that the international products come and they wipe out the Indian market. They will wipe you out because you are not really bothering to take care of the basic interest of the customer. The customer is paying money. The least which it expects is that what you have promised, you will deliver that. If you don't deliver that, then you will get penalized and you will see the result in that. So, my only suggestion is hence that there are simple scientific ways of doing sales which can help you do better instead of randomly trying to do it. Please follow the systematic method of doing it. I have mentioned many of them in my book, that how do you go about doing it, how do you create a team, how do you skill a team, how do you go out in the market and work in a systematic manner. The starting can be slow, but it will be solid, right?
Hmm.
So the advantage you will have is that over a period of time, you will keep becoming stronger and stronger, and it will be
Hmm.
very, very difficult for competition to throw you out of business. That is my suggestion.
Yes. Yes. So, sir, as we are talking about how to hire a team, how to skill them, so here also diversity plays a role. What do you say here? Because nowadays we have this idea, lot of HR policies are like including diversity and inclusivity in their HR policy. So, like
Right.
from your experience, have you seen anything like I would say magical after doing this diversity in sales team?
See, the difference is that two kinds of diversity we are talking about here. One, I'm talking about hiring girls as diversity. I'm also talking about diversity in the sense of hiring people from different regions. Okay.
Hmm.
Now, so when you are talking about hiring girls, you will generally see they bring a different perspective to the business. They look
Hmm.
at the same issue differently. And when things are not going right, or when you're trying to do some planning exercise, you always need diverse way of looking at the same thing so that you can plan much better, right?
Hmm.
And hence It has been noticed that whenever you have diversity in the team, that team delivers better because it can plan better, it can think better. Everyone is not thinking in the same direction. There are people who are giving you diverse views, and that helps. One. Second, when it comes to, for example, trying to go global, or for that matter, even within India, if you want to do business, if you're sitting in Delhi and if you're trying to do business across the country, if you want to do business in East, in South, in Northeast, it makes sense to have people from those regions. Have a team of people from diverse segments of the society, because they bring the local flavor, the local perspective, which is important.
Hmm.
Don't have everyone from the same place. The reason is that when someone sitting in Delhi wants to do business in, say, Mumbai, my first experience of moving to Mumbai and trying to do business, I realized people look at the same thing very differently. It took me some time to actually understand the cultural issues there. Similarly, when I went and tried to do business in Northeast, I found that people think differently, eat differently, talk differently. So everything has got a variation. And if you want to understand that and do business accordingly, it makes a lot of sense to have some people from these places who sits together with you. They work together. So your team overall learns how to handle all that and then do business. Now, even I think SEBI is saying that in the board, you must have a woman because it helps. These are proven things. So it's not something which I'm saying just for the sake of it. But it's just that, what problem is? The problem is that when we hire girls in the teams, especially in sales teams, what we do is we somehow try to suppress the other person, because always the girl may not be very vocal. She may not always hang around late in the evening discussing all kinds of things. Now, that's the place where you must understand there is a difference. So don't judge them based on how well do you know them personally. Please judge them based on the productivity, based on throughput, based on how the whole work is getting delivered. If you judge them based on that, you will see many girls doing much better. So I think we should be fair to people, and we should be even fair to the diversity, and that will really help in growing your business faster and much better.
So, like, if we plan a strategy for micro entrepreneurships, like for more brief, they're obviously going to read the book, but just to say an overview, like, what are the basic requirements you would say? Like any like SHGs you see. SHGs is like a very basic level of any business, starting from a very rural area or remote area where the big enterprises can't reach and to find any employment. So, sir, if we start from this point, just say SHGs, or you may not have very much experience at the remote level, but for any micro enterprise, what do you think are the basic requirements they should have?
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll tell you very basic things. The first basic thing is that please identify the market where you want to sell. Okay, don't just go and sell anything and everything to anyone and everyone. It doesn't work.
Hmm.
So please decide if you want to sell in a market segment. So if you want to sell a book, for example, please
Hmm.
decide who will be the potential readers, right?
Hmm.
If it is meant for a given segment, then
Hmm.
focus on that segment. What we generally end up doing in sales is that what we do in smaller and mid-sized organizations is we do not define the universe where the sales guy is supposed to operate out of. Because we don't define, what happens is he works on a set of, say, 100 customers. If he is
Hmm.
not getting business, he goes to 101st, 102nd customer, then he goes to a completely new set of customers. What happens is those 100 customers, if they at a later date of time decide to buy, now you are not
Hmm.
in touch with them, someone else is. So they go and buy it from someone else.
Hmm.
So the point is, first is one must understand that you must define a market segment and the size of the market where you want to go and operate, stick to it.
Hmm.
First thing. Second thing is, please train your people to talk properly, to communicate properly. It is extremely important that they are being trained on how they should perform. The third, I think the most important part from sales perspective is, if you have committed them some incentives, please pay that. Don't harass people unnecessarily. That's a very common thing in small business segment. right? If you
mm,
have promised that if they will travel, you will give them their local conveyance, please pay them. They're very small, very small issues on which you should not do cost cutting, because then
mm,
you're harassing someone and he works with you only because he does not have any option,
mm,
and that does not help you grow. So please follow these basics at least to start with, and which you can do. It's not going to cost you money to do that. It will ensure that you have a more strong team which works with you and goes out and sells. So train them, give them their dues, what you have promised, define a market where you want to work, and stick to that market segment.
mm.
Don't keep changing market segment. That does not work.
So I think, sir, in just few lines, you have just concluded what are the things necessary for it. And I would request our audience for better understanding. Please read the book. Selling is not cheating, and you will have better understanding about it. And I think also it covers a lot of the areas which I'm not even able to discuss right now at the point, because I myself doesn't belong to that field. So yeah, I have very limited knowledge about this field, but whatever I know, whatever I have experienced, I have just asked questions from there only. So yeah, the book is quite huge, but it's okay when it's going to be a good investment, I believe, for anyone who
Right.
wants to start any business. You can just read, and it's not just kind of a self-help book, but it's going to be a long-term book that is going to help you in the market to flourish. So yeah, I think this discussions we had today was quite, I think, beneficial for you. Will be beneficial for you for future reference also. And yeah, you can go obviously and just check out Amazon. You can get the book there. And sir, if you would like to say anything to our audience today, you can please.
So my only suggestion is please go read the book and use it. And it's not that it will solve all problems under the sun, but it will solve a lot of problems because they are based on my personal experience plus what I've seen happening all around. And I've traveled across the globe. I've traveled to different kind of cities. I've worked in different places, and the whole idea was to put them in a book so that you don't have to spend another 35 years to learn all that. You can learn. You can have a head start by learning all this from the book and then start on it. We would like more organizations to be successful and not want them to shut down. Thank you.
Yeah.
All the best.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's just not about reading the book. Please leave any review. How did you feel about the book? So we can get more audience, we can get more people, so they can also read and flourish their own market. And I believe today's discussion was very fruitful, insightful. Me myself, I got to learn so many things. And thank you so much, sir, for being here with us today. We are really happy to host you in today's session. And I wish you luck for your book, Selling is Not Cheating.
Thank you. Thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, and I request everyone again that please go and read the book. It's available and just leave a review. So here we are going to end today's session. I hope you all enjoyed today's conversation. And